Hello everyone, my name is Rune, and today we're going to be looking at some hot takes regarding ZZZ. I made a community post about over a week ago asking you guys for your hot takes about Zenless, and you guys had a lot to say to me. Today, we're going to go through some of y'all takes, and I'm going to give my own opinions about them. This video will be heavily biased, and I am not sorry for that. Shout out to the channel members as always, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing afterwards, and without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start off with takes that I've seen the most of so that I can condense them all into one take. Starting off with hot take. Defense class should have been anti-interrupt rather than survivability. A majority of the comments on this post had something to do with the defense class and a lot of people's grievances with it. And I just wanted to say that a lot of y'all had some pretty bad takes when it came to them, no shade. That being said, I disagree with this post here. Every defense character in the game has something in their moveset that takes forever to do. And in a world where endgame content is defined by how fast you can deal a lot of damage to enemies, I don't think stun locking them will ever be better than just killing them. Part of the reason why I hate Seth so much is because nearly every animation of his takes so long to do. Yes, he has insanely strong interrupting moves, but what's the point if you're not dealing enough damage to the enemy for it to matter? I think that the defense class going forward should just be another support class, but with the new niche of focusing on grouping enemies together. Think about it. Tanks force aggro on enemies in other games, but since the defense agents in this class don't stay off field and divert attention from the main player, why not just give them the ability to group lessers better instead? They tried doing this with Caesar and it does work on her, but if we want anyone to care about the defense role in the future, they need to give us characters that do stuff that we need, like off-field grouping. And also, we're at the point in the game where shields don't matter anymore and players need more offensive buffs to help them clear content. It does suck that every character that isn't attack, rupture, or anomaly is essentially a different colored stat stick for a DPS, but that's sadly where the game is going right now. The ZZZ devs need to design the defense agents with better offensive buffs in mind, whilst also keeping the defensive identity that they somewhat have. Moving on to another popular take. Hot take. TV mode wasn't that bad. Aside from Arpeggio. Fuck that mode. As someone who has enjoyed the game since 1.0 and has loved every unique charm that this game has had to offer, I'm sorry, but TV mode sucked. Listen, I hate the Genshinification of ZZZ2, but TV mode was such a hindrance to the game that it had to go. I appreciate the fact that TV mode was the only unique thing that ZZZ had going for it, but you guys can't deny that it was a severe pace breaker for the game and for people that just wanted to play as their favorite agent. Look, how many of your friends wanted to play the game because of a character like Lycon, lost to Nekomata, and then quit the game because they had to sit through 2 chapters of TV mode story just to get to him? People play gacha games to play as the character they like as quickly as possible. It doesn't matter how good they are, all that matters is if the player likes the way that that character looks. And while TV mode had its unique charms, it needed to go to keep the player base engaged with the game as much as possible. It is a lot easier to keep players playing when they're looking at something like this as opposed to this. One thing I will miss about TV mode though are the unique voice lines we'd get to hear throughout it, but it's a small price to pay if I'm being completely honest. Next hot take that we have here states, hot take. Designing Void Hunters to be intentionally more powerful than other characters in gameplay is problematic. Devs will never be able to see every synergy or tech with a character in the game like the player base. I thought they'd figure this out after making every boss anti-Miyabi just to stop power creep, but then they made Ye Shenguang, expecting bosses to have phases where ether veils can't be created in the future. I'm sorry, but is this your first gacha game? While I agree with the sentiment that having characters that are better than your favorites does suck, gacha games are specifically designed to make characters like Miyabi, Yixuan, Ye Shenguang to get people to spend their money. It sucks, but the people that speak the loudest are the ones with the biggest wallets. So any grievances that low spending / free-to-play players have about the game can just be answered with the fact that this is a gacha game and that's how they roll. Also, gacha games have always had this subcategory of characters that are just significantly stronger than the base cast. This isn't inherently new to ZZZ. For the past 5 years and even before that, gachas have always been introducing these extremely powerful characters as these end-all be-all units. Archons in Genshin, Emanators in HSR, Shimmer and now Umbra Espers in Dislight, whatever the fuck Fire Emblem Heroes has going on with it. Every gacha game has always had these light and dark or powerful extra class category of characters in them. So I don't see the issue with Zenless having them either. And if I were you, I'd be grateful that Hoyoverse isn't putting these units in a completely separate banner that costs 3 times the normal currency to pull. I hate to tell you this, but that's just how gacha games function, and it's only going to get worse and worse as time goes on. So it's up to you to decide when it's not fun for you anymore and bail out whenever. Next up, hot takes. AP and AM should convert to Sheer Force for Rupture agents, and Sheer Force should be beneficial for other classes. Sheer Force is converted into 1/3 of its original value into attack, but that converted attack ignores defense. Dude, isn't this literally just pen ratio? Yeah, dude, you've just described to me what pen ratio is, and anyone that isn't a Rupture agent already has this. I don't know if you're stating what Sheer Force already does, or if this is like what you want Sheer Force to do when it's applied to non-Rupture agents, but everybody in the game that is not a Rupture class agent already has this. It's just that people don't build into it, and pen rolls don't really matter unless you're a DPS agent. Also, having characters that scale off of multiple stats is not good game design in my opinion. People are already having trouble reaching singular HP and attack percent thresholds on characters with their signature W engines. So I wouldn't want to imagine a world where we need to reach 2 to 3 additional stat thresholds just to get the maximum benefits out of our characters. Next up, this one's a doozy here, but a hot take. Can we please have a male unit that is genuinely allowed to be top tier? Like no shortened banner, no mediocre damage output, no complicated kits, etc. At risk of sounding like a tourist who's bad at the game, not a fan of how they dump all the complicated mechanics on male units, or lock them into specific playstyles that get ruined by a brand new gimmick of the patch. As much as I love Banyue, bro is demanding combos while doing barely better than a character who you can play with one hand tied behind your back. It's a cool novelty, don't get me wrong, but don't you think they should just be outright better? Every female character pushes the limits in one way or another, while every male character is forced to be crushed under the ceiling. It's strange and frustrating for someone who likes to enjoy their male units in more context than what's given. Seriously, call me greedy or a tourist, but that's my take. Well, someone's upset that Banyue isn't tier 0, am I right, guys? Jokes aside, I don't want to chalk this up to another it's a gacha game moment, but I understand this person's frustrations. When we talk about male characters that used to be meta, Lighter comes to mind specifically. And it was nice to have him near the top back in the day when he was released. As far as I know, Lycon has never been bad, just overshadowed by Dylan and Trigger. And with his new buff, he actually slots really well into teams now. But I assume this person is talking about the main male agents like Haru, Hugo, Banyue, and Monato. And I can understand their grievances with all of them not being meta. Well, everyone except for Monato. That character fucking sucks. And Monato fans deserve that for the amount of misogynistic comics they made towards Lucia, Yidhati, and Yishuan back when they found out he was an A rank. I don't feel an ounce of sympathy for y'all, and you guys can continue to cope with your discount soul bad guy. I'm gonna have sex with my robot husband over here. Haru, Hugo, and Banyue are all still fairly solid units. They just suffer from the game not having content that fits their niches, or being good in neutral matchups. Haru is suffering from being a free S-rank agent that doesn't have the multipliers to keep up with modern endgame anymore. Yes, you can still clear content with Harumasa in modern day, but he has officially reached the wheelchair tier, requiring both Dylan and Astra, or Zhao if the buff requires Ether Veil, to be able to at least clear content comfortably. Y'all get annoying in the comments whenever I say this about characters, but it's true. Banyue suffers from being a bad element with bad boss matchups, and Hugo is just fucking Hugo. I don't know why they decided to release a character like him, and then personally, I've never really cared so much about how good my favorite male characters were. I mean, look at me. My favorites are the goddamn bears, for crying out loud. I just build and play with my favorite guys in any game I play. If I have to play meta for a clear, then I'll do so for that, but I never really get hung up over the fact that my favorites are bad. I'm just glad that they exist to begin with. Also, I disagree with the statement of this character is complicated, so therefore they should be top tier, simply because that should never be the case when it comes to designing characters in video games. Yeah, I don't want brain dead monkey characters to be fucking top tier either, but there has to be a balance of sorts. Complicated and simple characters can coexist, but when it comes to determining how good they are, it should really be a combination of both what a character does and how good a person is at playing them that should determine that. People who are good at a character should excel at that character. People who are bad at a character shouldn't excel at that character. if you get what I mean. People have to learn how to play a character in order to succeed with them, but there has to be some level of entry for people to learn the character and improve with them in order for that character to see usage. Banyue, for me, he isn't that difficult because I'm a fighting game player, but I can understand why people struggle with him, especially on mobile, because he's extremely demanding of fast inputs. You have to be very fast with it. So I understand why people are upset that he's complicated because, you know, they really like him or whatever. But that's just more of a, you need to get it down, you need to learn it type shit, right? But yeah, it should really be a combination of both what this character does and how good the person is at playing them. Not this character takes 40 hours to learn, so therefore they're the best character in the game right now. Another hard pill to swallow about ZZZ is that the target audience for the game is primarily straight men. So a majority of the roster in a game with the jiggle physics of the wazoo are going to be female characters that can make use of them the best. Don't get me wrong, it sucks being a gay guy playing this game and not having a lot of men to choose from in the roster, but I'm just grateful that the male characters that we do have exist already. I don't really look at it that deep, you know? I would love for the tiger from the TV to be a Void Hunter, or Big Daddy to be resurrected and end Bum Shil Guang as the next physical attack Void Hunter, but we have to live in the reality that we live in here. Next up, hot take. Bernice's buff freaking sucks. I agree with that. The only real benefit to this character with her potentials is the fact that she can actively sit on more fuel more often with her signature. However, the scaling on the Abloom is terrible, and it happens so seldom for it to even matter in the first place. I don't know why they didn't just make it a polarity disorder. It makes more sense because Abloom is something you want your sub DPS to trigger more frequently, whereas polarity disorder is something that happens every once in a while after you get a normal disorder. And with Bernice's gameplay, she fits the build to be a polarity disorder agent compared to a Bloom. She's still super fun to play though, and I love the new voice line she got with this buff. Next up, the CCZ should have tried to lean more into the whole roguelike aspect instead during the beta before they shifted it into being a more of an action RPG. I currently enjoy Chaos Zero Nightmare more because of the replayability. Then go play Chaos Zero Nightmare. I don't know what to tell you. ZZZ would not be a good gacha game if it was yet another roguelike RPG. That genre is completely oversaturated to the point where you can literally throw a dart at a random list and find the game in that genre that you will like. Zenless is fine as a hack and slash RPG. It doesn't need to be anything else. Go play your Slay the Spire gacha game. Next up, this might not be the best hot take, but Banyue is better than Yidhari for endgame. Due to the Yidhari being known as the hold A button and do big damage, when Banyue came out, pretty much everyone said that Yidhari was better because she did more damage with less effort. But due to the game being anti-Miyabi, it made all ice agents worse. And because the newer bosses are a lot more parry based or moving too fast around that you can't charge up Yidhari attacks without missing or waiting for the right moment, it kinda made her worse. And I believe she's only good on older bosses because she can get character specific buffs in endgame. But Banyue being a fire agent makes him a lot better for endgame because there are only 1 or 2 bosses that are resistant to fire, and again, with newer bosses being a lot more parry based or moving too fast around, you're still helpful to Banyue because he can still get his resources or do quick attacks in the small gaps in the enemy's attack patterns. Yeah, no, this is just wrong. I'm sorry. First off, if we're talking about general endgame usage, Yidhari can play in a lot more bosses than Banyue can, even in a neutral context. Yidhari is the better pick over Banyue due to the fact that Banyue needs to spend a lot of time building up his own resources as opposed to her. And the only boss where he can do this successfully without significant time loss is the Hunter. Yidhari doesn't even need as much setup compared to him, which is why she's way better. And ice is never a bad element to be in this game. Also, I don't know if you know this, but Yidhari is a parry agent too. You're not supposed to let the entire spin animation play out. You're supposed to do it until you get hit once, and then EX skill after for the parry, or just spin 3 times and then hold M1 after to do big damage. I understand that y'all want Banyue to be this top tier 0 character, but y'all have to acknowledge the fact that there are some characters that are just better than him. And even then, Yidhari is only better than him by a small margin. He's perfectly fine, and it's still an insanely good DPS unit. You just need to use him in the right context. After that last one, this will be the last hot take for today. And they say, maybe a hot take, but I think we should date Ben and Pan at the same time, and they should sandwich us between their Okay, I'm kidding. I'll get a real one, don't worry. Our real last hot take says, players obsess way too much over best in slots and tier 0 characters. So many players have the mentality of, if X agent isn't the best, they're worthless. Suboptimal doesn't inherently equal can't clear. This one I can agree with. Too many players and content creators are so hung up over tier placements. They let that define how they pull, and while that isn't inherently a bad way to play the game, a lot of people forget the main reason why people play these video games to begin with is to have fun. Look, I'm a score chasing bastard when it comes to ZZZ, but that doesn't mean that I'm spending hours every day min-maxing or grinding rotations just to get kills. I log in, do my dailies, do some endgame, and log out. I have my fun in short bursts, especially whenever new patches drop, because that means there's more stuff to do. I really love Threshold because it means that I get to use all these characters that I have built over the year, and it's definitely the most fun I've had on this account. If you're not someone who cares about scores and just wants to play the game for whatever reason possible, then just do that. Play the game. Ignore the community. Ask for help when needed, but don't let others tell you how to play the game. You want to play main DPS Orphe? Cool. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but who am I to tell you to have your fun? You want to pull for Sona but skip Arya, even though that's an extremely stupid decision? That's completely fine. You want to clear endgame content with a team like Yishuan, Sanbi, and Dialin? Despite owning the entirety of Obel Squad in your account, that's okay. As long as you're having fun, then that's all that matters. Just because a character is suboptimal doesn't mean that you can't use them. And as long as people are still clearing with Ben Bigger, which they still are to this day, you're completely fine with your premium units that you've built poorly. I really advise you guys to change your discs and build for better substats, but y'all are gonna be fine. Alright, I think that's enough hot takes that I can muster for now. I think for next time, I'm gonna make it so that I put like a sentence limit for you guys, because I skipped over a lot of good hot takes, but they were just actual 12-page MLA formatted essays in my comment section, man. I appreciate the dedication and passion that you guys have for this game, but I wasn't gonna read no goddamn light novel to do this. I'm sorry. Next video, I would advise you guys to at least keep it to like 4-sentence minimum, unless if like the take is very interesting and whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I've got to get started on the next one. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.